We are studying Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 2, Sankhya Yoga. In this presentation, I shall summarize the essence of knowledge on the self taught by Bhagawan Sri Krishna to Arjuna from slokas 11 to 30.
ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः अथ श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे साङ्ख्ययोगो नाम द्वितीयोऽध्यायः.
Bhagavan Sri Krishna began dispelling the delusions, grief, and misconception of Arjuna by systematically teaching the cream of knowledge on the eternal wisdom and revealed absolute truth. He is showing one's own true identification and asking everyone to consider, to contain, or contemplate about who am I, what is my true identity. We already discussed the meaning of keywords used and concepts in Vedanta such as Brahman, Paramatma, Atman, Jiva, and Jivatma. Jiva and Jivatma are the Atman or self identified with the mind and intellect. We also discussed cause and effect, logic of spirituality, indicating body, mind, intellect, vasanas, and the Om progressively from outside layer to inside. The body and mind and intellect are designated as equipments. Here we mention that the subject is the self or Atman or consciousness. Bhagavan begins his discourse by stating that himself, Arjuna, all kings assembled in the battlefield are eternal individual beings. He says that you are the self having a body, not other way round. The self of an individual is eternal and body is temporary and it is changing. Bhagavan Sri Krishna declares that the self in everyone is on a journey of continuity from the past through present and to the endless futures. The self remains the same but passes from one body to another endlessly. Here, Bhagavan introduced the concept of rebirth or reincarnation. Bhagavan also gives an example of how the self passes from childhood to youth to old age in the same body. The self also passes into another body after it exhausts its experiences in the old body. The continuity is maintained. the self is eternal. Bhagavan now indicates the true nature of the self and non self, that is, Atma and Anatma. That one is real, exists in the past, present, and future. That is called Sat, the self. Unreal or Asat is not real, never existed, falsely appeared to exist in the present, and that is called non self. The real defies all changes and remains the same in all periods of time. That is, it is changeless. Anything that changes in time is non self. Example body, mind, intellect, they change over time. Hence, Bhagavan indicates that you are the self, unchanging, but the body, mind, and intellect are continuously changing. Hence, it is non self. We can only experience the change only when one is not changing. Example of the screen and the movie should amply explain this. Bhagavan described the characteristics of the self or Atma or consciousness in various forms or various terms. Avinasi, Nitya, Aprameyasya, Ajam, Avyayam, Achedyam, Achalaha, Akledya, Sarvagataha, Sthanuhu, Achalaha, Sanatanaha, Avyaktaha, Achintyaha, Avikarya, which we have seen earlier on. The self is not an object. He is the seer of everything, but not seen. He is the knower of everything, but cannot be known. Two very good examples we have discussed. One is Acharya Kupa Viswanatha Sarma on the unseen energy that energizes the energy of subatomic particles and the self that is beyond the space, the most subtler of all. Swami Sarvapriyananda's example of lake being pervaded by water. These two examples directly gives us the nature of the self. Bhagavan reiterates several times that the self is eternal and the non-self, that is body, is impermanent. In the famous sloka 22, Vasansa Jirnani, Bhagavan indicates that individual changes old torn garments and wears new garments. The self also moves from the old body to new body, although it changes the body's eternality. The self is only one, which is again eternal, ancient, and unchanging. Bhagavan also gave a materialistic view about the self. Even someone does not believe in the eternal nature of the self must accept the concept of infinite births and deaths in this world. He reiterates that things that are born must die. Hence, Arjuna should not grieve for that because it is a fact. Finally, Bhagavan says that all beings are invisible, or unmanifest at the beginning and at the end, but manifest for a specific period of time in the present. This he has already described, and we understood that the bodies are made up of five elements, which takes from the unmanifestation to manifestation for a specific period of time. But the self is always present, not bound by the time or five elements. These five elements do come from God and merges into the God at the unmanifestation period. In conclusion, Bhagavan is indicating that the knowledge on the self, as known by as self by the realized masters, speaking about the self, listening about self from the realized masters, reading about the self, and understanding or not understanding is a wonder. I thought of a short story that is very relevant to this presentation, which I want to share with you all. As mentioned earlier, don't overinterpret this story. It is only for understanding the essence of self taught by Bhagawan Sri Krishna to all of us in this section. Hope you will enjoy it. The story goes on like this. I heard this story but cannot remember the source of it. It was very short, but I modified a little bit to make it more interesting. At the beginning of the creation, Brahman or God was all alone. Nothing was there, no one to see, talk, or play. He then decided to create the universe with his magic powers. He started creating the universe with beautiful nature, with mountains, rivers, trees, plants, small and big animals. The universe looked very beautiful, colorful, enjoyable. He started to enjoy his creation. He wanted to play with animals, but was unsuccessful as they were not talking and playing with him continuously. None of the animals understood the rules of play mentioned by the god. Some were silent, many did not know how to speak. Some could only make noise in their own way. God got frustrated. Then God decided that He's going to create a human being who can talk, think, understand, and be smart and intelligent. He thought that he can have a wonderful relationship with his new creation. He can play with and be a lifelong friend. He was contemplating on where should he be? Should I be inside of the body or outside? He felt that if he were to be inside, he can play and talk all the while. Finally, he decided to stay inside the heart of a man. God was very happy with the final creation of a man who can talk, see, hear, taste, touch, and play with and love him and love others around. God and man had a wonderful relationship for only for some time, mainly during the childhood. Alas, what happened? The man did not know that God was inside of him, has been giving, guiding, blessing all actions, thoughts, feelings, and decisions. The man has become only looking for happiness from the outside the world. God's relationship with man was dwindling. He is not aware of that the man was not aware of and caring despite attending the many pujas, temples, and pravachanas. His relationship with the God has deteriorated. God was disappointed but was not in despair to leave the heart of the man. He continued to stay and will continue forever. God, Brahman, the pure consciousness, is eternal and all pervading, all caring. I leave the interpretation of this story to the eternal nature of the self, to yourself, and the presence of self in all of us, and also to remind ourselves that we are the self, not the body. Hari Om.
ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः